On Saturday, we have UFC 329, the return of the Mac, McGregor versus Holloway. I wanted to go through my predictions, starting from the prelims. There are early prelims, and some of those fights are good, but I would not say I'm confident in anything I could say on those. So, with that being said, we're going to start with Luke Riley versus Kai Kamaka. I'm definitely going to be going with Luke Riley here. He beat Bogdan Grad, and then he's coming off that win off Michael Aswell Jr. versus Kai Kamaka. I don't know too much about him. I know he beat Michael Lima. Luke Riley looked really good in that fight against Bogdan Grad. He's got power. He's coming out of Patty's fight camp. I just think he'll be able to outbox him and piece him up on the feet here. Next up, we have Cody Garbrandt versus Adrian Yanez. I'm going to be going Yanez here. I do love Cody Garbrandt. You know, everyone loves that 25-minute fight where he was the best man on the planet for 25 minutes. But, I mean, that's, 6 years ago? It's a long time ago. Garbrandt hasn't looked great recently. He had that fight with Long Zhao where he got, kicked in the nuts twice, and he starts freaking out. He does this cold turn and stare at the camera and then just runs into him as hard as he can and hits him with his shoulder and then goes back to just staying at range doing nothing. I do like Yanez offensively. I think he's pretty strong offensively and will be able to piece up Garbrandt on the feet. I don't think Garbrandt's going to get caught bad and get KO'd, but I do think Yanez is going to win by decision with, honestly, potential for a KO, but I'm definitely leaning towards Yanez by decision. After that, we have Gable Steveson versus Elisha Ellison. I really hope Ellison somehow pulls this off, but it's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Gable's only 3-0, but, he's looked great. He's training with John Jones, kind of given their history, no surprise there. But I will be going Gable, first round KO. He did get caught with that spinning wheel kick in his last fight, so maybe there's hope he gets knocked out, but he's a minus 2,500 for a reason. I think it's kind of stupid to pick against him. Again, he's Olympic gold champion wrestler. If he wants to, I think he could wrestle Ellison, but I don't think he needs to. I think he can just outstrike him. Probably finish with some sort of ground and pound after knocking him down. But Gable Steveson by first round, I think they're just trying to feed him and get him into the rankings as quick as they can and just give him easy fights. You'll be seeing him fight like Derek Lewis next. Next up, we have Bobby Knuckles versus Nikita Krylov. I am absolutely terrified for this. I love Robert Whittaker. I think he's great. I love that 1-2 head kick he likes to throw. And he's fighting Krylov, who is pretty dangerous, and the issue with fighting Krylov is people don't give him a lot of respect. He lost to Bogdan Guskov, he lost to Dominic Reyes. So if Whittaker wins this, people aren't gonna give him a lot of respect. Versus if he loses, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you lost to Krylov." It's a lose-lose scenario. Almost very similar to the Salkiel Dariush fight, where people didn't give Salkiel much credit for winning that. However, if he lost, it would have been like, "Oh, you lost to Beneil Dariush." Lose-lose. That being said, I think Whittaker can get it done on the feet. We saw Dominic Reyes catch Krylov stepping in with that left hand. I think Whittaker is going to be able to get it done striking. Krylov is orthodox, which I think plays into Whittaker's favor. I think Whittaker is going to be a lot faster. He's a former 170. He really looks pretty small at 205. I know there's that picture with Dan Hooker where Hooker kind of towers over him, and Hooker's fighting at 55. So I don't know how Robert Whittaker weighs so much. But with that being said, I think he'll be able to find either that cross or that head kick and put Krylov out. I'm going to lean towards Whittaker by round 2 KO. I'm not sure I like him to win it decision, but I think he could. I think he'll find a shot, especially given that he's going to be a lot faster than Krylov going into this fight. I think he can get it done. Round 2 KO. I could see round 1 KO, but he's moving up a weight class. He's got the lighter man skill, but give him a round to figure it out, and then in the second round, I think he could put him out. Now, moving on to the main card, we have It's Bobby Green. I'm not calling him King. I'm not calling another grown man King. Bobby Green versus Terrence McKinney. Honestly, I think I'm most excited. This might be my. If this fight was gonna last more than like 2 minutes, it'd be the fight I'm most excited for. But it's only gonna be 2 minutes. However, the 2 minutes is just gonna be absolute fireworks. It's gonna be all hell for 2 minutes. You got Terrence McKinney, who he's got a knockout in 7 seconds at lightweight, versus Bobby Green, who's actually on a pretty decent run right now. I mean, he beat Daniel Zellhuber. He subbed Jeremy Stevens. His last two losses are to Hoofy and Pimblett, which is pretty good, to be honest. Like, you can't really. There's not really worse losses to have. He's lost to Pimblett. He's lost to Hoofy. He's lost to, like, Islam. Like, he's really good. I think he's a very good striker. Um, I don't know if he's able to weather the first minute of Terrence McKinney. I mean, the first minute of Terrence McKinney could knock out anyone in the UFC, and then after that, he's tired and he just gets submitted or KO'd. Like against Chris Duncan, he just got subbed right after he gassed out. But then, he goes out and he knocks out Kyle Nelson in 24 seconds. It's what he does. It's what he does. So as fun as this will be, you got Bobby Green, his hands behind his back, hands low, versus Terrence McKinney walking out there, just looking to throw as many punches as he can in a minute. It really is a toss-up. I mean, you could look at the odds right there, but it's a toss-up. I am going to have to go Terrence McKinney, round 1 KO, but it's about as 50-50 as it gets. Honestly, like, money-wise, it might be smarter to bet on Bobby Green just because it's plus money, but I'm going to go Terrence McKinney. First round KO. I'm really not that confident in that. Just because it's Terrence McKinney. How can you be confident in a Terrence McKinney fight? Next up, we got Brandon Raw Dog Royval versus Loner Kavanaugh. I love Brandon Royval, but I think Joshua Van did a ton of damage to him. And Manel Kape's very powerful, but I think we kind of saw the damage Van did add up during that Kape fight when Kape just put him out. Loner Kavanaugh also, he had a pretty good fight against Brandon Moreno. Moreno's at the top of the division. Moreno's had good fights with Royval. And he's only lost to Charles Johnson. And, as it goes, you lose to Charles Johnson and then you go on a title run. Loner Kavanaugh's also beat Jose Ochoa, who I thought was very good. He just had a good fight with Clayton Carpenter, I believe. I think Loner Kavanaugh has the striking to get it done. I'd be interested to see if Brandon Royval uses his wrestling, but I feel like he has very good, anti or defensive grappling, not so much offensive grappling, so I don't know how well that would work. I think I'm going to go Loner Kavanaugh here by second round KO, although I could definitely see it Kavanaugh decision here. For the featured fight of the night, we got every white person's favorite fighter, Corey Sandhagen versus Mario Batista, the terrorist for what he did to our boy Jose Aldo, which, I mean, I don't want to forgive him for that, but he's had 3 pretty good fights since then in Patchy Mix, Umar, and Vinicius Oliveira. Whereas Corey Sandhagen, I don't want to say he's been boring recently, but I mean, he got pieced up by Merab, he got pieced up by Umar. His last wins are Chito Vera, Rob Font, and Figgy in that weird 50-50, and he just tore Figgy's knee in some 50-50 position where he sat up. This one's so close. Honestly, I'm so torn for who to pick. I think Corey's a better striker, but Bautista could show some problems for him on the ground. I know Bautista definitely looked better against Umar than Corey did. He had moments. He kind of rocked him there once versus Corey kind of got pieced up for 5 rounds and got smoked in that one. So that, the MMA math would tell you to take Batista. Corey obviously won their first fight by sub, I believe. I'm so torn on this. I'm so torn. I think I'm going to have to take Bautista. I think in the rematch he gets it done. I think he's going to be able to stand with Corey. I think Corey's going to have to get really aggressive, which I don't know if we'll see from him. I think Batista can stand with Corey. And on the ground, I think it's going to be close. Batista's good on the ground. I just unfortunately can see this almost going to a ugly smudge fest. which Bautista definitely has the advantage in. I hope it's, fireworks on the feet, but I'm just not sure that's going to be the case. In the co-main event, we have Mr. Staph Infection himself, the God of War Benoit Saint Denis versus Paddy the Body lad. Paddy the Body. This one's also, bro. This is like Goofy Goober versus Propeller Hat fight. You have BSD, who's, man, that guy's a marauder, versus Paddy the Baddy, who has like some of the worst striking for a top 10 UFC fighter. The shots he was throwing versus Gaethje were crazy. And I mean, Gaethje made that a sloppy fight, so maybe that plays a factor into it. But yeah, I like Paddy as a fighter and as a person. I just don't think I rate him that highly. I mean, Michael Chandler had this guy's back. I think I'm going to go BSD here. I think on the feet, BSD's just going to march forward like a zombie, like he always does. And I think if BSD can get it to boxing range, I think Paddy's got pretty good kicks. We saw Dan Hooker using kicks against BSD. That fight went poorly for Hooker, but the kicks were one thing that worked for him. I think BSD's going to keep it at boxing range and just be able to get inside. And from that position, especially when he can get to a clinch, I think that's where BSD thrives. But it's weird because that's where Paddy's good too. Paddy has like 0 offensive takedowns except from the clinch and on the fence. He can't shoot in the open, which I feel like would be kind of stupid against BSD anyway. If they can get to the clinch, it favors both of them, but I think it favors BSD more. I think he lands pretty good knees from the clinch, and especially if he can get it to the ground. I mean, we saw what he did to Dan Hooker on the ground. He wasn't able to submit him, which is kind of crazy because Arman subbed him pretty quickly, I believe. But, I mean, he just battered Dan Hooker on the ground. I think we'll see a couple submission attempts in this fight. I think it'll be fun. Especially it'll be like Goofy Goober on the feet. But I see BSD getting it to boxing range and clinch range, and then if it goes to the ground, I see Paddy throwing up a triangle and maybe trying to transition to an armbar or hold on to that triangle. But I just see BSD. I don't see BSD getting submitted like that, and I see him kind of just pouring it on, very similar to that Dan Hooker ground and pound TKO. This is really close. Like I said, I could see Paddy getting that sub. The chance is definitely going to be there, but I just see BSD landing a bunch of elbows. He's so good at that from the ground, and I see him battering Paddy's face up to the point where he's not doing anything to defend himself, and the ref steps in. I see maybe BSD catches a kick if it's not from the clinch. I think once it goes to the ground, if BSD's on top, it's going to be a lot harder for Paddy to throw up that sub than against like a Bobby Green or like someone else he's subbed like that. It's just the BSD's top pressure and his elbows from the ground are so good. And then the main event of the evening, the Mac is back, yeah? The Mac is back. We gonna find out Saturday night, brother. We gonna find out. The fact that Conor's only a plus 175 is kind of crazy. I feel like, Gable was minus 2,500 and they have Max Holloway at minus 210. I don't know. That's kind of absurd. That's it's the same numbers as Royval's a bigger underdog versus Loner Kavanaugh than Conor McGregor is versus Max Holloway. That's just the McGregor effect. I have Max I'm gonna say round 4 TKO. I think Conor's got a pretty big reach advantage. I think 4 or 5 inch reach advantage. I think Conor's best chance at winning this fight is gonna be first round KO. I think everyone kind of agrees on that. But specifically, if he can get Max Holloway moving to Max's right and by the fence, I think that reach advantage can help Conor where he steps in. Max likes to dart in and out of range. It just lands not pitter-patter, but 3 or 4 strikes and get out. And Max is so good at that. And I think that is what's going to end up leading to the TKO or KO in the 4th. But I think McGregor's game plan going into this should be walk Max backwards, and then, like he's done in the past with his timing, find that timing, get Max moving to the right, and try and land that straight left near the fence, kind of backing up where Max can't back up too much more and has to move laterally. We saw that was how Ilya did it. And Ilya's obviously kind of copies McGregor's style a bit to an extent. Obviously southpaw versus orthodox, but I think McGregor's best bet is going to be maybe throwing these body kicks to get that hand down and then feinting a body kick while he gets Max moving to the right and landing that straight left. With that being said, the way I see this fight going, I see McGregor honestly winning the first round. I could see him. I don't think it'll happen. I could see a knockdown for McGregor, but I think ultimately it'll be a close first round. Maybe McGregor win, and then I think Max will just win that second, third round more dominantly. I think we start to see McGregor trying to wrestle, and then I just see Holloway TKO in the fourth, just pouring on too much volume after McGregor's kind of already gassed out. Hey, the best is blessed, brother. The best is blessed. We're going to find out Saturday night. But I think Max just gets it done. I think the thing is we haven't seen, it's been like 6 years since McGregor fought, right? And he wasn't totally healthy, I'll give him that. He came into that third Poirier fight with the broken foot, broken leg. But 5 or 6, I don't know how to expect him to perform versus Max. We saw him versus Charles, and he got wrestled. If McGregor was capable of doing that, I'd say that's a game plan, but I don't see him having the cardio to do that. And then there's very few strikers I would pick in the UFC to outstrike Max. I think right now I would pick Max to beat Gaethje again. He obviously just beat Dustin. Ilya's like a very tough fight. I think he was doing good versus Ilya until he wasn't. But there's very few people in the UFC who I could see outstriking Max, and the only reason really Conor's getting this fight is because his name is Conor McGregor. Imagine anyone else, if you take away the name value of Conor McGregor, imagine someone else going, yeah, I haven't fought in 6 years. I'm going to go fight Max Holloway, and if I win, I get a title. So it just doesn't make sense, except it makes sense because it's Conor McGregor. So yeah, all that to say, I have Max by round 4, KO, TKO. I just see him. It's going to be too much volume. I see him going to the body, landing these body hooks. That'll just be too much. The reach is something to question, but ultimately I don't think it's enough for McGregor to get it done. So let's go back. We got Luke Riley, lad, by probably KO, TKO. Yanez by decision. Gable Steveson by first round KO. Bobby Knuckles by second round KO. Terrence McKinney by first round KO. Loner Kavanaugh second round KO. Bautista decision. BSD third round ground and pound TKO. And Max Holloway by fourth round TKO. See, a lot of finishes, so hopefully the card stays that way. That'd be pretty awesome. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys predict, and let's enjoy this.